You expect me to leave dinner for that? That's what the nurse told me my mother said when the hospital called her after the crash, right before everything went dark on the frozen highway. When I opened my eyes, the sharp white ceiling blurred above me, cold lights burning into my skull. My whole body felt heavy, sore, and bruised. A monitor beeped beside me in a slow, steady rhythm. A nurse leaned over my bed. "Avery, sweetheart, try not to move. You were in a car accident. You lost consciousness at the scene." I blinked slowly, the taste of copper still in my mouth. I remembered the moment it happened driving home after a 12-hour shift, exhausted beyond reason when a pickup truck swerved into my lane. The screech of metal, the spin, the cold, then nothing. I swallowed hard. "Did you call my parents?" The nurse hesitated. "We did, multiple times." They didn't answer. A familiar ache pulsed through my chest. It wasn't surprise. It was recognition. My parents only answered when they needed something from me: money, rides, help around the house. But the night I needed them, silence. "We reached your sister," the nurse continued carefully. Hope flickered weakly in my chest. "She came." The nurse pressed her lips into a thin line. "She did, but she didn't stay." Before I could ask why, another nurse stepped into the room and whispered we escorted her out. She wouldn't stop recording. Recording. My stomach dropped. And then I heard it, my sister Holly's voice, drifting in from the hallway, bright and sugary like she was filming a vlog. "You guys won't believe this. Avery totally wiped out her car. Look how dramatic she is. Oh my God." Anyway, I'm late for dinner. The door closed, but the humiliation stayed. With trembling fingers, I reached for my phone. Notifications exploded across the lock screen. There it was, a photo of me unconscious on a hospital stretcher, oxygen tube under my nose, dried blood on my temple. Her caption read, "Some people love attention." I stared at the screen until my vision blurred. I nearly died on a dark road. Strangers saved me. Doctors cared enough to call. And my own family, they turned me into a joke. Thank you for staying with me through this painful beginning. If any part of this moment feels familiar or hits close to something you've lived, your kind support through a like, a comment, a share, or a quiet subscribe truly means more to me than I can express. I'm grateful you're here. When the nurses finally stepped out, the room felt too big and too quiet. My head was pounding, my ribs stung every time I breathed, and yet the worst pain came from something invisible, something sharp and hollow in the center of my chest. My phone buzzed again. This time it was my father. I answered with a shaky breath. "Avery," he said sharply, "what is going on? Your mother and I had to leave dinner because the hospital kept calling." Do you know how embarrassing that was? Embarrassing. Not terrifying. Not concerning. Embarrassing. "I was in a car accident," I whispered. "They called because I was unconscious." "And you're awake now, aren't you?" he snapped. "You always blow things out of proportion." I closed my eyes. "Dad!" Stop, he cut in. "Your sister said you're fine. She already posted about it. You're making a big deal for nothing." My throat tightened. She posted a picture of me unconscious. "Well," he said dryly, "maybe don't look so dramatic next time." And then he hung up. "No, are you okay? No, do you need anything? Nothing." Just disappointment that my near-death experience interrupted their night out. A hollow ache spread through my ribs that had nothing to do with the accident. Moments later, my coworker Lily texted, "Heard you were in a crash." "I'm on my way. Don't move." "Wait, scratch that, of course, don't move. Just stay alive, okay?" A laugh bubbled out of me, small but real. Somehow, a woman I'd known for less than a year cared more about me than the people who raised me. A nurse returned, with a warm blanket. Let me know if you need anything at all. Her kindness hit harder than my father's words. I wasn't used to people showing up for me. I gingerly scrolled through Holly's story again. Hundreds of people had reacted. Laughing emojis. Comments like she's so dramatic. Avery always needs attention. Classic middle child energy. And then one that froze me is, she actually okay? To which Holly replied she's milking it. My hands trembled. I survived a crash that could have killed me. I was alone. Scared. Hooked to monitors. And the people who should have cared the most treated me like an inconvenience or worse, entertainment. The nurse returned with a clipboard. We need your emergency contact information. Your parents didn't seem interested in helping the staff. I swallowed hard. They never are. She gave me a sympathetic nod. Then who should we list? I stared at the line. For 23 years, I had written the same 2 names out of obligation. But for the first time, I couldn't bring myself to do it. My hand hovered, then slowly wrote emergency contact Lily Carter, someone who actually showed up. Someone who cared. Someone who made me feel human. And with that one signature, I realized something. Maybe blood doesn't make family, but choice does. The next morning, my ribs still ached and my body felt like it had been stitched together wrong. A doctor came in to check my vitals, flipping through my chart with a tight expression. Avery, he said gently, I need to clarify something with you. When we called your parents last night, they didn't just ignore the calls, they declined them. I froze. Declined as in pressed the red button, he nodded. More than once. A strange pressure filled my chest, pain, anger, humiliation mixing into something that made it hard to breathe. They said they were in the middle of a dinner event, the doctor continued, and that you, quote, exaggerate everything. My throat tightened. I swallowed the ache, but the hurt stayed. Before the doctor could continue, the door burst open. Holly, dressed in a perfectly coordinated athleisure set, full makeup at 9 in the morning, phone in hand, already recording. Okay, she announced loudly, to no one, I'm just here to clear the air. The doctor frowned. Mom, we don't allow filming, Holly waved him off. It's fine. I'm family. Family. That word had never felt so insulting. She angled her camera at me. Avery, can you explain to my followers why you're freaking out over a tiny accident? I'm getting blasted in my DMs because of your little hospital moment. My jaw dropped. Holly, I was unconscious. She scoffed. Yeah, but you didn't have to look dead. Like, could you maybe not make it look so dramatic next time people think I'm a terrible sister? I stared at her, stunned, nauseated. You are a terrible sister. Her expression hardened instantly, her whole face turning sharp. Whoa! After everything I do for you, I came here last night. I posted so people could pray or whatever. You're welcome. The doctor stepped in. Ma'am, I need you to leave. The patient needs rest. Holly ignored him. Mom and Dad are furious with you, by the way. They said you embarrassed them by making a hospital call so many times. You ruined their evening. I felt something inside me break quietly, cleanly, without hesitation. Holly, I said softly, please leave. For a moment, she actually looked shocked. Not because she cared, but because she wasn't used to me saying no. She lowered her phone slowly. You know what, fine. Make me the villain. It's what you're good at. Then she walked out. The doctor exhaled heavily. I'm sorry you had to deal with that. I blinked back tears, not because I was hurt, but because I was finally painfully done. Done waiting for them to care. Done begging for scraps of affection. Done hoping they'd show up. As the door clicked shut behind her, a strange calm washed over me. I didn't collapse because I was weak. I collapsed from carrying people who never once carried me. And I wasn't doing it anymore. I was sitting up for the first time, propped by pillows wrapped in a warm blanket, when my phone finally buzzed again. Mom, not out of concern, not to ask if I was alive, but because Holly had probably told her I embarrassed the family again. I almost didn't answer. Almost, but I needed closure. I pressed accept. Avery, my mother said sharply. I just spoke to Holly. Why are you upsetting her? My throat tightened. Mom, I was unconscious. She posted a photo of me injured. Well, maybe now people know you're alive, she replied, exasperated. Honestly, you're blowing things out of proportion. Again, I closed my eyes. I could have died. You didn't, she said immediately. So let's not make a scene. Not make a scene. I felt something cold settle inside me. You and Dad declined the hospital's calls. She hesitated only a second. We were busy. At dinner, I said quietly, Yes, she snapped. A very important dinner. And then your sister tells us you were being dramatic. Holly took pictures of me unconscious, I cut in. Do you even know what happened? Do you know what the doctor said? Do you know I could have been paralyzed silent? Then, Avery, you're being ungrateful. That word again. Ungrateful. As if all my life had been one long favor from them. The dam inside me broke. Ungrateful, my voice shook, but not from fear, from 23 years of being unheard. You didn't show up. You didn't call. You didn't ask if I was okay. You ignored the hospital because you were at dinner. You let Holly humiliate me. And somehow, I'm ungrateful, Avery. No, I said firmly. I'm done. My hands trembled. My voice did not. I'm done being the child you call only when you need something. I'm done pretending we're close. I'm done convincing myself you care when last night proved you don't. A sharp inhale on the other end. You watch your tone. I almost died, I whispered. And you were mad the hospital interrupted your appetizers? For a moment, there was only breathing, hers fast and offended, mine slow and steady. Then she said the one sentence that made everything crystal clear. You made us look bad, Avery. My heart didn't break this time. It hardened. I'm hanging up now, I said softly. And I'm choosing myself this time. Avery, I ended the call. Not in anger. In peace. Because I finally understood some families only love the version of you that serves them, not the version that needs them. Before I continue, thank you for being here with me through this painful shift. If any part of this resonates with something in your own life, your thoughtful support through a like, a comment, a share, or even a gentle subscribe truly means more to me than I can say. I appreciate you deeply. The next 2 days in the hospital passed in a blur of pain medication, breathing tests, and the slow, frustrating process of healing. My ribs were bruised, my left wrist sprained, and the doctor warned me that the concussion was not mild, despite what my family insisted online. You're lucky, he told me gently during morning rounds. Another inch of impact and your spine could have taken the energy of the crash. Another inch. Another inch, and everything could have been different. I lay there afterward, staring up at the ceiling, feeling the weight of that possibility sink into my bones. But when the door opened again, it wasn't fear that filled the room, it was Lily. She came in balancing a giant bag of takeout, 2 iced coffees, and a ridiculous bouquet made entirely of candy bars. I didn't know what flowers you like, she said, but I do know you like sugar. A laugh slipped out of me, unexpected, shaky, but real. You didn't have to do all this. I know, she said, settling into the chair beside my bed. That's why I did. Her presence felt like oxygen after being underwater too long. While I unpacked the food, my phone buzzed again. A notification from Holly. Another Instagram story. This time, a selfie of her at brunch with the caption dealing with family drama. Some people are so exhausting. No mention of me. No mention of the accident. Just her playing victim for likes. Lily glanced over and frowned. Is that about you? I nodded. She took my phone gently from my hands, set it face down on the table, and said, You don't need to see that. Not right now. Maybe not ever. Something tightened in my chest, grief, anger, gratitude blurring together until I didn't know where one feeling ended and the next began. Can I ask you something? I murmured. Anything. Why do you care this much? We're coworkers. She blinked at me. You're more than that. Anyone with eyes can see you've been carrying your whole family on your back for years. You deserve someone who actually shows up when you're hurting? Her words hit me like a warm, painful truth. I had spent so long trying to earn love from people incapable of giving it that I forgot what real care looked like: quiet, steady, uncomplicated. Later that afternoon, another nurse stopped by adjusting my IV. How are you feeling today, Avery? It stunned me every time. Someone asking because they actually wanted to know. A paramedic who'd been on scene even visited during his break. Hey, you scared us out there, he said with a grin. But I'm glad you pulled through. These were strangers, people with no obligation to me, and yet they showed more kindness in a single hour than my own family had in years. That night, when the room was dim and quiet, I scrolled through my emergency contacts again, this time with clarity instead of sadness. Lily, the only person who came, the only person who stayed. Family by choice. And for the first time since the accident, the heaviness in my chest eased. Not because I was fully healed physically or otherwise, but because I finally understood something: losing the wrong people makes space for the right ones. I was discharged 3 days later. The nurse wheeled me through the automatic doors, cold air rushing across my face, a reminder that the world was still moving, even if I felt like I'd lived a lifetime inside those sterile walls. Lily was waiting by the curb in her car. She jumped out the moment she saw me, grabbing my bag, supporting my arm as if I were something fragile. Slow, she murmured. Your ribs aren't ready to pretend they're invincible. Her care warmed something deep inside me, something my family had left frozen for years. As we drove away from the hospital, my phone buzzed again. A message from Holly. I hesitated, then opened it. Can you PLAASE stop making me look bad? People think I'm heartless because of your stupid accident. Fix it. I stared at the screen in disbelief. Not once did she ask if I was okay. Not once did she mention the crash. Not once did she apologize. Just another demand. Another attempt to make my pain orbit around her. For the first time, I didn't feel anger, just distance. A gap so wide it felt impossible to cross. I blocked her. When I got home, the apartment felt different, quiet, safe mine. Lily settled me on the couch with blankets and water before heading out to pick up pain meds. I looked around my little living room. The thrift store bookshelf, the cheap rug, the tiny kitchen where I'd cooked late-night ramen more times than I wanted to admit. It wasn't fancy. It wasn't impressive, but it was a space where no one yelled at me. No one belittled my pain. No one filmed me for attention. No one ignored me until they needed something. It was home. A few days later, something unexpected happened. The truth got out. One of Holly's followers, someone who had been at the hospital the night of my accident, left a comment under her new post. Didn't you take pictures of your sister unconscious and leave? That's not drama. That's cruelty. Then another comment. And another. And another. Within minutes, Holly turned off comments completely. By the end of the day, she deleted the post. For once, the world didn't believe her version. For once, my pain wasn't treated like a punchline. And for once, I didn't feel alone. Lily came over with soup-dropping keys into my hand. "Just in case you ever need me," she said. "I don't want you alone in emergencies anymore." I blinked back tears. "Thank you." She sat beside me. "You deserve people who care, Avery. Stop giving your love to people who don't know what to do with it." Her words settled deep inside me, warm, steady, honest. Weeks passed. My ribs healed. My strength returned. My life resumed. And my heart slowly, quietly learned to trust softness again. One evening, I stood by my window watching the sun set behind the trees outside my building. The sky glowed orange and gold light, spilling over the world in a way that felt like a promise. I whispered to myself, "I'm okay now." Not the old version of okay, the version where I swallowed hurt and smiled anyway. A new kind of okay. The real kind. The kind built on boundaries, self-respect, and people who actually show up. Thank you for staying with me until the very end of my story. If any part of this journey resonates with something you've lived through, your gentle support through like a comment, a share, or even a quiet subscribe truly means more to me than I can express. I'm grateful you walked through this with me,